Welcome back to FT Markets. Scotland has suddenly become an issue for financial markets. Not only is the referendum fast approaching, opinion polls suggest that the Yes campaign, the Yes to Independence campaign, has a chance even of winning. With me to discuss the market impact is Andrew Bolger, my colleague on the Capital Markets desk, and also a former FT Scotland correspondent. Andrew, if you could choose one word to sum up the market reaction to everything that's been going on in Scotland this week, what would it be?
Belated, I suppose, or a sort of wake-up call.
If we have a look at our first chart, actually, we can see the impact on sterling in the last weeks, and you can see quite a sharp drop. That's presumably where most of the attention's been focused so far.
Indeed. I mean, sterling is the one that's really affected it. I said belated because, of course, this issue has been coming for a long time, but the market wasn't really paying attention because the opinion polls for most of a year have given the no campaign or the no side a double-digit percentage lead. It was only at the beginning of last week that we had one poll that suddenly suggested yes might win, and suddenly people woke up to this possibility, and we got this reaction.
Yeah. If we look at our second chart, which shows how UK 10-year gilts have performed, it's hard to see any Scotland effect there, really.
Yes, there hasn't been much, and it must be said the effect on sterling is difficult to work out because we've also had a bit of a recovery in the dollar effect. So
it's global factors more important.
Global factors. Clearly there has been a bit of a hit to sterling, and if there were to be a yes vote, then I imagine it would be even more of a hit to sterling, because that was, as I say, just none of this was being factored in by the market.
Well, presumably the problem for markets or investors, it's sort of binary yes or no.
Indeed.
How do you price in that into a gilt?
Well, precisely, with great difficulty. I think also it's more a sort of status, reputation, unexpected thing. In sterling, it's just
uncertainty.
Uncertainty is a much easier thing to price.
Yes. Okay. And if we got a yes vote next week, what would the market reaction be then?
I expect, again, another hit to sterling. People have said it could be another 5-10%, and gilt maybe start reflecting more uncertainty, but I think sterling would be the main effect.
Is it just the uncertainty that markets would worry about? I mean, that's obviously a big factor for markets. Uncertainty is not positive. But if you weighed up the sort of the economic pros and cons for the UK, for sterling, for global investors looking at the UK, is it overwhelming? Is it automatically negative?
I think it's more, as I say, that the market hadn't taken in this, what would be a sort of huge constitutional change with big ramifications. If you could lose a referendum like this, what would be the effect of the possibility of a referendum in Europe? So I think the whole scale of political uncertainty would just spike up. We've already seen specific responses to, for example, Scottish companies or companies with Scottish exposure. So their shares have come down, and I imagine they will be in the firing line because there's going to be a long, long period of uncertainty.
Yes. We haven't mentioned shares so far, but actually shares like gilts have been relatively unaffected. But the
Scottish ones, Scottish financials, Standard Life, RBS, Lloyds Banking Group, all of them have come down a bit.
Because they're Scottish-based.
Because they're Scottish-based, and there's this issue, particularly in the financials, of perhaps not having a lender of last resort in terms of the Bank of England.
Okay, so Andrew, you're Scottish, you're a former FT Scotland correspondent. What do you think is going to happen when the country votes?
My gut feeling is it will still be a no vote, but by a very narrow margin.
Okay, but even if we get a no vote, but the yes vote is quite strong, that presumably could have effects sort of in the future.
Well, indeed, I think the margin is going to be so close that considerable political change is inevitable, and with that, financial uncertainty.
Andrew, thank you very much. So, a no vote perhaps when Scotland votes. We've had quite a severe market reaction already, and it would be a lot more severe if there was a yes vote.